feedback is the breakfast of champions. This quote, while a little cliché, holds a powerful truth. It's not always easy to hear, but feedback, when received openly and with a discerning ear, can be the catalyst for incredible growth. But not all feedback is created equal. To truly harness its power, we need to develop the ability to differentiate between constructive criticism, which helps us learn and improve, and destructive criticism, which aims to tear us down. This is the journey we're going to embark on together today. Constructive criticism, my friends, is a gift. It's a message delivered with the intention of helping you improve, to become a better version of yourself. But how can you tell if the feedback you're receiving is truly constructive? Well, it typically has a few key characteristics. First, it's specific. It pinpoints particular areas for improvement, giving you clear direction on what to focus on. Think of it as a roadmap rather than a vague suggestion. Your presentation was good, but now we're getting somewhere. Second, it offers actionable advice. It doesn't just point out flaws, it provides tangible steps you can take to improve. It's about solutions, not just problems. Instead of saying you need to be more engaging, it might suggest try incorporating more storytelling into your presentations. And finally, constructive feedback is delivered in a supportive tone. It recognizes that you're not perfect, none of us are, but it believes in your ability to learn and grow. It's about progress, not perfection. Now let's talk about the flip side, destructive criticism. This type of feedback is not designed to help you grow. It often comes from a place of insecurity, anger, or a need to control. And sadly, it can be incredibly hurtful. But knowing how to identify it can help lessen its sting. Unlike constructive criticism, destructive criticism is often vague and non-actionable. It throws out blanket statements like "you're always so negative" or "you never listen," without offering any concrete examples or suggestions for improvement. It's like trying to navigate with a compass that's spinning wildly. It leaves you feeling lost and disoriented. Another hallmark of destructive criticism is its negative, often attacking tone. It's laced with judgment, blame, and even personal insults. It aims to make you feel small, inadequate, or ashamed, rather than encouraging you to grow. And perhaps the most painful aspect of destructive criticism is its focus on your character, rather than your behavior. It attacks who you are as a person, rather than addressing specific actions or choices. This can be incredibly damaging to your self-esteem and sense of worth. So how do we navigate the often choppy waters of receiving criticism, especially when it feels personal? The first step is to take a deep breath and remind yourself that you are not defined by the opinions of others. You are worthy, regardless of this feedback. Center yourself in your strength. Next, listen actively to what's being said, even if it's difficult to hear. Try to truly understand the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with it. Ask clarifying questions if needed. Sometimes simply feeling heard can de-escalate a charged situation. Once you've listened, take some time to assess the criticism. Is it constructive or destructive? Is there any truth to what's being said? Even in the harshest criticism, there's often a nugget of wisdom to be found. Can you separate the message from the delivery? Now, it's time to respond. And this is where it gets tricky. If the criticism is constructive, acknowledge the feedback and thank the person for sharing it. If you need more time to process, it's okay to say, "Thank you for sharing this with me. I'd like to take some time to think about it, and perhaps we can talk more later." Now, dealing with destructive criticism is a whole other beast. It's important to remember that you don't have to tolerate abuse, disrespect, or personal attacks. Your worthiness is not up for debate. The most important thing to remember when on the receiving end of destructive criticism is this: don't take it personally. Easier said than done, right? But the truth is, destructive criticism often says more about the person delivering it than it does about you. It's often rooted in their own insecurities, past experiences, or unresolved pain. When faced with this type of feedback, it's crucial to set boundaries. You have the right to decide what you will and will not tolerate. Calmly and assertively communicate your limits. You might say something like, "I'm willing to listen to your feedback, but I won't tolerate being spoken to in this way." And finally, don't be afraid to seek support. Talk to a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or mentor. Sharing your experience with someone who can offer empathy and understanding can be incredibly healing. Learning to handle criticism, both constructive and destructive, is a lifelong journey. It's not always easy, but it's essential for our personal and professional growth. When we can view feedback as an opportunity for learning and development, we step into a place of courage and vulnerability. Embracing constructive criticism allows us to refine our skills, strengthen our weaknesses, and become the best versions of ourselves. It's through this process of receiving feedback, reflecting on it, and taking action that we truly grow. And while destructive criticism can be incredibly painful, it can also be an opportunity for deeper self-awareness and boundary setting. It can teach us to value our worthiness, to cultivate self-compassion, and to surround ourselves with people who support our growth. Let's look at an example of how constructive criticism might sound in a real-world scenario. Imagine you've just finished delivering a presentation at work. You felt good about it, but you're eager to hear feedback from your colleagues. One of your teammates approaches you and says, "Hey, great job on the presentation. The information was really well researched and easy to understand." That's a positive start. They're acknowledging your effort and highlighting your strengths. They continue, "I did feel like it could have been a bit more engaging at times. Maybe next time you could try incorporating more visuals or interactive elements to keep the audience's attention." So see how they're offering specific and actionable advice. They're not just saying it was boring, they're giving you tangible steps you can take to improve. This, my friends, is constructive criticism in action. It's specific, actionable, and delivered in a supportive tone. It's about helping you grow, not tearing you down. Now, let's contrast that with an example of destructive criticism. Using the same scenario, imagine a different colleague approaches you after your presentation. Instead of offering specific feedback, they say, "That was so boring. I almost fell asleep." Ouch, right? This feedback is vague, non-actionable, and delivered in a disrespectful tone. They continue, "You really don't know how to engage an audience, do you?" This is a personal attack that focuses on your character rather than your behavior. It's designed to make you feel inadequate, not to help you improve. This, my friends, is a classic example of destructive criticism. It's vague, non-actionable, negative in tone, and focused on personal attacks. This type of feedback is not helpful and can be incredibly damaging to our self-esteem. As we wrap up this journey, I want to leave you with this thought. Criticism in all its forms is an inevitable part of life. It's how we choose to receive it, process it, and ultimately learn from it that truly matters. Embrace constructive criticism as the gift that it is. Allow it to illuminate your blind spots, challenge your assumptions, and propel you forward on your growth journey. Remember, the goal is not to avoid criticism, but to learn how to use it to your advantage.